So nice to have you along for the ride today. And we're just waiting for our stream to get set up and we will be ready to go. We're just going to do a little introduction. So nice to have you along. That's great. All good. And let's just do a little introduction here. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thank you for people who are coming into the room and joining. It's great to have you. And we're going to talk all about the wonders of quantum biofeedback today. Very, very exciting. So let's get our guest is going to be ready here. So we'll have her up here as a panelist and just hang on as we get ready to introduce you. And again, welcome to the Frequency of 528 podcast. We broadcast live to YouTube, and we are now officially on all of the podcast platforms. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, so you can look us up and find us there and listen to the podcast there when you can't join us live. Well, our Frequency of 528 podcast is brought to you by the Genius Biofeedback System. And the Genius Biofeedback System, for anyone who doesn't know, is a great quantum biofeedback tool. It helps you to learn more about yourself and the world around you. It's sort of like having a nutritionist, acupuncturist, and chiropractor in the palm of your hands. You can check out the Genius yourself and get to learn more about it at geniusbiofeedback.com. Actually, the Genius is a really interesting technology because it has a very special voice analysis scanning tool. And what the voice analysis scanning tool does is it identifies and looks at the formants of your voice. And the formant, F-O-R-M-A-N-T, is known in music as being the most identifiable part of the music, and in similar way, the most identifiable and unique part of your voice is identified and evaluated by the Genius. So there are so many things that we can learn from your voice and then analyze within the Genius, which is a very unique tool in quantum biofeedback, which we're going to talk about more today, the different types of tools and why it's important to have different types of tools in your tool chest with quantum biofeedback. We'll talk all about that. Okay. Also, we have a course going on called The Science of Manifestation. So if you're ready to clear blockages in your life, get ready for positive manifestation and learn about the process of creating more abundance, better relationships, higher levels of health, and more, then go to geniusbiofeedback.com. Put into the search bar Science of Manifestation, and please do join us for that course. It happens on Thursdays at 12 o'clock Pacific. We had our class today, and we have a lot of people who are having profound breakthroughs in their health, in their finances, in their relationships, and more. So that's the Science of Manifestation course. Now, today, we are going to be joined by Missy Iten in just a moment. I want to tell you a little bit about her. She is a certified biofeedback specialist. She's a homeopath and a wellness coach. Now, we're going to talk about biofeedback therapy, and I want to let you know in advance that she uses primarily the SCIO quantum biofeedback tool, but that is not a problem. We love to talk about other quantum biofeedback tools. And we're also going to talk about how she uses the Genius, because she does have a Genius and uses the Genius as well. So I think those of you who are also SCIO practitioners or just want to know about other quantum biofeedback tools, what quantum biofeedback is all about in general, will love this conversation. So for her, biofeedback therapy was a true game changer. She struggled with chronic fatigue, all types of stress, until she discovered the amazing technology of quantum biofeedback, which I believe is a salvation for all of us to help us to solve the problems that we need to have solved today, which we don't often know what to do to move forward. And thank you for everybody who's joining in the chat. You can have a lively chat. You can exchange information and exchange ideas or comment in the chat, whether you're on our chat on YouTube or you're on our chat live on the Zoom. So quantum biofeedback is her passion and her purpose to assist clients in becoming more aware of how their body works. I feel the same way, how to achieve optimal wellness. So please welcome to our Frequency of 528 podcast, our wonderful guest for today, which is Missy Iten. So Missy, you can go ahead and, oh, did we lose you there? for a moment. Let's make sure you're joining us. Let me just promote you to a panelist there. There we go. And make sure when you sort of hop on as a panelist that you can join us. I'm sure it'll all be fine. Welcome in the chat to Kate, Lorraine, Marion, Meredith. It's great to have you. Julie, thanks for joining. And Missy, hopefully you're, for some reason that isn't working, but let's see. There we go. Okay. And Ellen, thanks for joining. By the way, there was a little bit of a hiccup with our Genius this afternoon. It's all working great. So if you're working on the Genius, you're going to find that's absolutely fine, working in tip-top shape as it usually is. So Missy, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to start your video there. And are you there?
Hi, Ariel.
Hello, Missy. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Let me go ahead and stop the screen share and we can just have the two of us here. So finally, after talking to you for so long, it's so nice to have you joining us.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you. This is such an honor, and I'm so excited to be here this evening.
It's wonderful to have you, and it's really going to be great. Just tell us a little bit about your journey. What brought you to a place of wanting to help other people to heal in the first place?
Wow, it's kind of been a long journey here. So I'll start kind of at the beginning. I was born in a big family, and I felt like I was always sick as a child. Flaming ear infections, never really felt well, moved into teenage years, struggled with migraine headaches. Moving into my 20s, realized I had chronic fatigue syndrome, and I had worked with somebody that did radionics. So that was kind of my introduction to the whole quantum world. So she worked with me on how to manage it, getting through the 90s into the 2000s. I'm a mother of 4, raising kids, stress, life. I was big proponent of eating right, juicing, became
when you were, I'm going to interrupt you at different parts because I love your story. It's so interesting. When you worked with radionics, was it a particular machine or what was it?
I don't know exactly what it was, but she was out of Santa Fe. So we worked a lot in subspace.
Nice. So she worked with you remotely.
Yes.
So
yes.
all of us, even that sort of older technology, and I assume that had all the little dials on it
Yes.
and weird things. And
Yes.
But even then you were introduced to that concept of subspace, which is something that you ended up working with later.
Yes, which completely helped me manage my chronic fatigue. It was a daily it wasn't like I wanted to take a nap. It was like, I have to take a nap.
That's chronic fatigue for sure. Would
Exactly.
you say that when she started doing the remote sessions and sending them to you, you noticed an immediate difference or you felt like you could make it through the day?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Still napping though, maybe not as much. But at that point I had 4 small children. I had 4 kids all in the 90s between nursing and being pregnant. Of course I was going to be tired, and then throw chronic fatigue on top of it. It was like walking disaster. So just learning how to manage that, I juiced a lot. I became a vegan at one point. I did a lot of fasting and still struggled with it.
I wonder if did you ever think you had Epstein-Barr or suspect that you did?
Yeah. I mean, that's what it boiled down to. I had the Epstein-Barr virus.
But no matter what you had, the radionics, which sends these remote frequency, was able to pick up on it and give you the assistance that you needed to make it through a day of dealing with 4 kids and what was going on in your life.
Right, exactly. And it was, one of these things. And when I was a teenager, my mother used to take me to the doctors all the time because they thought I had the mumps because I was tired and nobody could figure out why. And she was the first person that said, actually you have Epstein-Barr. You have chronic fatigue syndrome, which with that, you usually, can't have children. You don't reproduce because you're too tired. Your battery's too drained. Mm-hmm. So, at that point it was like, wow, I just had a baby. I'm exhausted, more so than just being tired. So,
yes, absolutely.
So
when you were beginning a journey of self-discovery of really how to heal yourself, which sounds like that inspired you to help to heal other people.
Yes. So I was always like, on the road less traveled, always trying to search for the wellness. Like, how do I get better? How do I have energy? How do I live like other people? How do people do this and not struggle every day with not wanting to take a nap, having to take a nap and lay down? And, you know, like my kids remind me, you know, we used to go and do things and then I'd come home and say, I have to take a nap. It's not even a question. So
a lot of people still struggle with this issue. So I know people will be really interested in your journey of that you sought out solutions for yourself.
yeah. And I've always been a self-seeker and, you know, what's the next thing? And, you know, probably just driving from my illness of having the chronic fatigue syndrome. So then, you know, moved into around 2010, had a death in the family, which kind of threw me over the edge, which I think by 2012, 13, I thought I was dying. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I knew I had the fatigue, the Epstein-Barr. I think I spent a full summer in bed.
Wow. Wow. Could you
My
correlate anything else, like a stressful event or something you were going through your life, or, you know, anything that was happening for you personally that you could match hormonal changes or anything like that with?
It could have been. There was nothing besides, you know, the death in my family. I had, you know, worked in banking for 5 years prior to that, you know, 4 kids, a lot of stress, and it all hit me. And I had tried everything. I mean, I've been through, you know, Eckhart Tolle, Esther Hicks, you know, way back in the early 2000s. I've been to all the churches. I've been, you know, not only was I trying to hit it on the spiritual side, you know, going vegan, juicing, sleeping, supplements, you know, it was like nothing seemed to really take the edge off of this.
Oh my gosh, that must have been so hard.
So anyways, 2013, my sister had told me about a gentleman she had worked with who had the SCIO. So I met with him and did a session with him. And when he ran me, you know, one thing they look for is your major resonant frequency. How is your body vibrating? What is your body's frequency? And it should be at 10,000. Well, mine was at 500.
Oh my God, that must have been such an eye opener for you.
Right. So I'm sitting here thinking, well, if my battery isn't charged, how can I even function? I have no energy and I can't even hold on to it.
Didn't that, just seeing that in real time, didn't that help you to understand and even have compassion for yourself about why you've been functioning the way that you have been?
Exactly. And why I had to take a nap every day and why I was exhausted for no reason. I'd wake up tired. So as I worked along with him, I worked with him for about 3 years, and he kept saying to me, you know, I think you should come to my training. And I was kind of saying to him, no, I just want to have one of these for myself to keep myself alive. Because what I started to notice was, wow, as I started to vibrate at, you know, 10,000 major resonant frequencies, I could actually put a full day in. I could actually get out of bed and not have to take a nap. I could take a nap if I wanted to.
So the biofeedback through the SCIO was the biggest game changer for you beyond all of the juicing, all of the supplements. This is the thing that made the biggest difference for you.
Besides all the modalities that I own, that my kids were like, Mom, you're not buying one more thing. I'm a healing center. I mean, if you asked me, do you have this? I'd probably say, yes, I do. Yes, I have. Have you done this? Yes.
You've tried it.
I have done everything.
The one that worked for you.
Right. So this is where I started to notice the biggest difference. And then of course I started telling everybody, you know, I took all my kids there. I gave, you know, my friends his number. I was sending people after people, like, you have to experience this. This has changed my life. I could actually now work out again. I could do things that I had never done before. I could go bike riding and bike 20 miles and not feel absolutely tired like I used to be, like where I couldn't bike the whole thing. And I'd have to stop and either take a break or I can't bike anymore. So this was a big game changer.
That's so nice to just get your life back. I know what that's like to be so chronically tired and then be able to do the functions of your life again. It must have been really exhilarating. No wonder you wanted to get one for yourself.
Yeah. So I figured, you know, if I could just get one of these for myself and figure out how to do it, because this is complicated. You know, as you worked on me, I used to think, I don't think I can do this. And, So he said, no, you can just come to my trainings. Why don't you, so I did the work for about 3 years, and then I was training with him simultaneously. So seminar after seminar, training, session. I finally purchased one. And the
Wow.
intention was just to keep myself alive. That was my
Exactly.
hope. This is going to keep me alive and with energy. So finally purchased one in 2018. And it was, I think I practiced for a whole summer on anybody and everybody I knew. I was absolutely fascinated. I couldn't stop. And then
I know the feeling. Did you learn any little pearls from working with a whole bunch of people?
yes, I mean, as I continued, then I started my business. So it was like I literally started cold turkey. My sister called me and said, I have a few neighbors. Why don't you come down to Florida? I think they'll be into this. And I was like, okay.
When you had just even started initially, did you start notice like a lot of people had viruses or that they had fatigue, or what did you notice or observe initially?
Everything to what I had. It was like a mixed bag of nuts. Everybody had a little something.
Yeah.
Mainly what I noticed was everybody had more parasites. Parasites,
yeah.
Never heard of. Viruses, bacteria lingering in the body. Organ systems, the sarcodes, just everything showing up low. A lot of people just on the very low side, or some very high, too stressed, way too stressed, burning the candles at both ends, body breaking down, not fully sick, but getting sick, just kind of on that edge of, do I feel good or do I not feel good?
It's interesting about the parasites, because that's something what Hulda Clark had written all about. The people's main issue is really the parasites. That's interesting that you observed that.
Right. That and all the co-infections, the infections in the body, and where are they coming from and how are they getting there? And how do we clear these and clean this up? How do we get the body to work? And that was my big thing was, first of all, like, how do I bring this to the world? And how do I explain this in layman's terms? Because this is complicated.
Yes.
And how do I make it simple so people can understand and then have the value and the benefit to live a better life, to up-level their life and transform their life, whether it's their health or their emotional state, or their mental state.
That's a beautiful desire. Did you notice that your practice started to get full from doing this? Did people refer other people to you?
Yes. People say, do you have a website? And I don't yet. I'm now creating it. It's been, I'm going into my 5th year. A lot of things have shifted. I now have my own practice, and yet I also work for a clinic. So I'm kind of doing both. I'm kind of burning the candles at both ends. But
that's an interesting gig that you have with the clinic. Tell us a little bit about it. And it's amazing that coming from a place of no energy and chronic fatigue, you're burning the candle at both ends. You're so busy now, but you're able to sort of deal with it now.
Yeah. I mean, I have more energy than I know what to do with.
That's amazing. That's
better than I have in my whole entire life.
It's so exciting.
So I know this working in this field matters, and I know it changes and transforms people. So with the clinic, back to your question. So the clinic is more children and, more, it's a therapy clinic. It's a counselor. She does a lot of trauma therapy, a lot of brain injuries, trauma, anywhere from adults to children. And what I've noticed with all those clients is severe parasites, especially in amoeba.
Okay, so the children, are we talking nonverbal, autistic?
Everything. Yeah.
Okay.
Or autistic, Down syndrome, and even just children that have been traumatized, gone through a divorce, just family issues, crises, to severe, like can't talk, more on the spectrum.
And we're talking kids between the age of what to what?
I want to say my youngest is 5.
Okay. To
my oldest would probably be about 50.
15.
No, 50.
I like how you've taken them in so much. You're calling them yours, my,
right. No, like
50. Care about them that much. But that's interesting, between 5 and 15, that you're noticing massive energetically, you're just testing energetically, not a diagnosis, but energetically, you're noticing across the board a lot of parasites.
Yeah. And it was 50, not 15, Ariel. So like adults.
Oh, okay. But the ones that you said, because when you said you were working, okay, in the therapist's office, then you're working with children and adults.
Yes. And mainly what I'm seeing is severe amoebas in everybody.
In everybody.
In everybody.
And is this recent, like with the P word, or is this like before this was a general trend? Or the
I feel like it's a general trend. If you yeah, that like if I were to say, what do all these people have in common? That's one thing.
Amoeba is specific. That what comes up.
A lot of
literally
amoeba.
We do see that when we run naturopathic labs. We'll sometimes see amoeba or Campylobacter or anything like that. What is your gut, speaking of gut, what's your feeling about why everybody is experiencing that?
Well, I mean, I think if you look at the whole parasitic condition, the bacteria, the viruses, you know, parasites are in everything. They're everywhere. We can't avoid them. And I think they're very unaddressed. I feel like as a society, people just kind of ignore that they're there, but they are there. And I kind of feel like animals, we all need to be dewormed.
So we should be doing parasite cleanses on a regular basis.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because once you clear up the parasites and once you clear up the co-infections, the body starts to really heal itself. It's just the immune system is so fired up, it doesn't know where to go first.
Sure.
So it's like a house on fire.
Yeah.
Where do I start? Then it's exhausted. And then it's really building that immune system back up.
Well, that's fascinating. And is that something you worked on for yourself as well?
Definitely. Definitely. And I've always kind of worked on the parasites, even the last, 30 years.
That's very cool.
You always want to do the detox first.
Start with a detox.
Yep. Start with the detox, get those organs open, get the liver strong. The liver is a big proponent in the whole thing. Getting those kidneys open, getting everything moving out of the body.
Is your quantum biofeedback a way that you work on that at an energetic level?
Yeah. So basically, the way I see this whole world that I live in, I kind of feel like I live in a world that I don't see, feel, or touch. And so sometimes it's hard to explain, but in essence, I'm really not working on the body. I'm working in the quantum field, and a lot of people don't understand that. And I'm not a healer. I'm assisting your body to heal using frequency. So when you work in the quantum field, you're working on the energetic body, and matter always follows the field. So when the field is corrected and those snags and tweaks and those blockages come out, the body then knows how to heal itself. It's like, oh, you took that out. Oh, you took that out. Oh, now I can breathe. Oh, there you go. And so we always think, it's the physical matter, but we're not healing his physical matter. We're working in the field, the body then follows.
That is absolutely fantastic. How important do you view quantum biofeedback today compared to the regular allopathic tools that are available?
I just think we're over supplementing with everything. I feel like as a human community, a human race, I feel like people think they have to supplement instead of supporting the body. And I feel like with energy medicine to allopathic medications in medicine, it's not that they're bad, there's a place for them. And I think we're just overdoing it.
Yes.
We're overdoing, everyone thinks more is better, and really less is more. And I try to teach that in my practice, like less is more. Let's let the body work for you. Like your body makes everything. You are a chemical factory. It knows what to do. Just give it support. Stop putting stuff in and creating more toxicity, and let the body heal.
That's beautiful. Now, did you ever take any classes or are at all familiar with pranic healing?
Yeah, so I'm certified 3 levels in pranic healing with Dr. Master Choa.
That's amazing. The little bit that I know, that I remember, I went to an introductory class, and there's a reason I'm saying this, is he told this story that his teacher did this like, of course, you know, all the little movements. I know this isn't a
Yep.
movement, but I'm just going to make it up like
Cleaning
this.
out.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
when his master would see someone who was severely injured or sick, he just did the most subtle movement. Like he would just be like, bloop, and they'd be like, oh, you're done. And people would feel insulted because he did such little movement and yet they were completely healed. And so I'm reminded of quantum biofeedback, where you're getting just these little subtle adjustments that we don't recognize in our conventional, you know, wisdom or whatever, but those might be the most powerful adjustments possible. Is that how you think about the energetic adjustments in some ways?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't, it's very powerful and specific. And I almost feel like the less you run and the more specific you are, the more
Yes,
care
I feel the
themselves.
same way.
Right.
Exactly.
And I will tell you though, with the pranic healing, I remember at one point my boyfriend had a kidney stone and he was in so much pain. And that's when I had, been certified, and I was like, this is all I have, right here. Let me use my hands. And I was trying to move the stone and at least I got
Right.
him out of pain.
That's
And he,
awesome.
and
That's
he used to say,
phenomenal.
yeah. And he used to say, like, I can totally feel the heat on your hands. I can feel something moving. So
It's the same thing. I mean, it's an energetic adjustment, but you have to work for a long time, right, to get really good at it and to trust yourself. Whereas I feel like quantum biofeedback is more objective, that anybody can start right away and have really good results.
right.
And in some way, that's why people hesitate from muscle testing. Like you could use your body for this, but I would question myself for years. Am I testing right? Is it an
Yeah.
accurate test? Whereas you can sort of take yourself out of the equation to some degree and let the machine or the technology kind of do all of that work.
Well, and I feel the same. I feel like, with energy, there's no beginning and end. And it's like when you're doing muscle testing, is it picking up my energy? Is it picking up my clients? And I feel the same way. Why don't I just let the device decide? Because with the algorithms, and it takes me out and calibrates and it's only their frequencies, this is going to be a better percentage of, if it's going to be the right remedy or the right modality for them.
I absolutely agree. And I know that people have said, you said something very similar to this, that the quantum biofeedback practitioner works with the wave and the doctor works with the particle. And I feel like it's so important to get out in front of things and to work with the wave. Like you get to work in the place where disease might be emerging in the field, right? Before it ever hits the physical body.
Right, because that's what we're measuring and picking up, because we're picking up the quantum, the most smallest particle that you can possibly get before it even hits into the body, and changing those stressors into a different, way. Because some people say, if I go to the doctors, it's, are they going to pick this up? And it's like, not necessarily, because, this might be manifesting for the next 10 years. And then all of a sudden you're sick and you have cancer and you remember my words, or, you didn't change the pattern of where that was going. So it's like, we can catch it way before it's a major problem. And that's what I love about it.
I agree with you. I think it's so important. I think it is the most important technology that we need today. And it's it's an unsung hero because powers that be don't really want people to know all these amazing things going on within their own body to some degree.
Right. And I feel like people don't understand, like we're electrical, we're energy. We have a nervous system, we have a spinal column that, carries all those nerves. And when they get severed, you can't walk. But people don't seem to understand the concept all the time. And I always feel, because this is such deep work and it is a lot of subconscious work, tapping into the subconscious mind, when somebody's not ready for this work, I know they need to do other things. And they usually come back to me, if they've had a session or not, and they usually come back and say, oh my gosh, I did notice a difference when you worked on me.
Wow, that's amazing.
So,
are there common emotional issues that you notice with people?
besides the general, everyone I feel like has anxiety or stress or some sort of little depression.
Is that something just in the last 2 years, or that's something that you've noticed for a long time?
I would say for a long time. and
Wow.
ramping up.
Anxiety generally and stress.
Yep. And a lot of anger. I'd say anger
Really?
more lately.
Wow. Very, very fascinating. And with the SCIO, are you able to, do you send certain frequencies to neutralize or clear out those emotions?
Yep. That's basically what I do, is send the frequency, work on that emotion, neutralize it, remove that block, stabilize it, removing and then stabilizing and balancing it. And then they do know, people do notice the shift, things that used to make them mad or anxious, with the anxiety, I think it goes along with the gut. So a lot of gut issues that starts to clear up the anxiety. But say like with anger, people really realize like, oh, they used to have road rage. Now they don't. Things that used to irritate them, now they're not irritated anymore. So
do
it's
you
like
have a couple of, that's awesome. Do you have a couple of stories? Maybe we just start with one of somebody that you worked with where it made such a difference that really floored you?
I have so many, but there was one that really sticks out to me. And this was probably in my first year of practice. I had a girlfriend that called me and she said, my dad can't see. And he's had an eye issue. He went to the doctor 4 months ago. He wears a patch on one eye. He can't drive anymore. She had started to work with me and she was like, do you think you could help him? And I was like, yeah, I mean, of course. Like I've never had this case, but let's just give it a try. So worked with her father. I did work.
You can work completely remotely with the SCIO as well.
Yep. Worked in subspace. It was about 3 months. I did a session every week for about a month. Then we kind of tapered down. It was about 3 months. He, first he started to notice his eyes weren't throbbing. He didn't have the pain. That was the first thing.
Amazing.
And then it was where he could start to open them. So first, he was like, Missy, this is amazing. I've not had pain in a few years. Then he finally got the eyes to open and he wasn't able to drive. And then he started driving. So I worked on him. I got him like in March. By the end of June, he had the patches off. He could see and drive. They gave him his driver's license back. And I was
That's
like,
incredible.
This is amazing. And that's when I said, like, I have dedicated my life to do this the rest of my life, to help raise the consciousness of people and help assist people in their own healing.
That's fantastic.
Wellness.
That's absolutely great. Was there anything in particular you noticed on his scan that you felt was associated? Like, for example, maybe like the liver meridian or something like that, or inflammation?
A lot of liver, a lot of inflammation, a lot of degenerative, stuff happening. Parasites also, big contributor to parasites.
So one thing that's so fascinating about quantum biofeedback is you're able to achieve or learn the right frequency that person needs at that time. And the best of my understanding is you're actually, when you meet them at that frequency, that's when the profound change really happens. Is that your understanding?
Yes, it's no different when the singer sings and that decibel hits that same decibel in the glass and it shatters. It's that same thing. Or we could go back to like Newton's law. When you have that pattern and that you put a bunch of babies in a room, one starts crying, they all start crying.
Entrainment.
Right. Exactly.
When I was in naturopathic college, one of our homeopathic mentors said that he had seen time and time again that somebody could be so sick, like terrible, like throwing up, like just almost going to the hospital. But if you would get the right remedy for them, it would disappear in minutes. And he said, Correct. It's just really about finding the right remedy. And what I hear for that is finding the right frequency. But in my experience, trying to find the right homeopathic remedy is really hard. It's like a shot in the dark unless you're really good, and it takes years to be good. And you could learn the genius or the SCIO, quantum biofeedback, and get that right frequency. And when you get the right frequency, then just like you said, miracles happen.
Yeah. And it picks it for you. So it tells you what their body needs instead of a big guessing game. Well, and also, Ariel, I was going to say too, is the emotional component plays a big piece in health and wellness. Like you can eat well all you want. But if you
Mhm.
don't have a happy life, or you're a sad person, or you don't deal with your emotions and process them, that's just as toxic.
Absolutely. And do you see that when you do your scans, you actually see evidence of that with
I would
people who
say
are ill?
I would absolutely. I mean, it's always dealing with the emotional component first, the emotional and
That's
spiritual, getting that corrected um, makes a huge difference.
Do you have a certain structure and you go through a series of things with every client?
That's the ideal. You know, I get a
Okay.
client, we first do a scan, see what's going on. Most everybody, not everybody, usually I like to start with the detox, you know,
Mhm.
get everything moving, opening.
Mhm.
In my detox is a big spiritual component, a big emotional component in there. It's not just a physical detox.
Mm.
You have the cellular piece in there, a lot of degen, a lot of organ supporting, organ opening up, allopathic detoxing medications. It's very, very thorough. It's
That's
a
amazing. And how many sessions would that be?
that's a 10 session.
10 session process. That's
Yeah.
brilliant. And is the session done every week, once a week?
It can be done multiple different ways. It can be 10 days in a row. Usually we do three, the first three in 1 week, the next three in the next week, and
I
then I
see.
go out one a week.
I understand. That's very cool.
And
Now,
even,
go
oh,
right ahead, please.
even
Yeah.
even in the detox, like getting, you know, one piece is just all getting all working on all the chakras, you know, the scalars, the chakras, different panels, just staying there.
That's really fascinating. I like the order of things. And it's one thing we learned in naturopathic college as well, is really to open up all the emunctories. I like that you're opening up the organs of elimination, which is what the emunctories are. And then like even before that or after it, I forget which one you mentioned, just sort of giving them all energetic support, like giving them nurturing and support and strengthening them.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, that's really cool. Now, for everybody who's listening, they should know that Missy does have the genius, but the SCIO is her primary thing that she works with the therapist and in her practice. So tell us a little bit about your use case, why and when you use the genius, and what your experience is with it.
Well, originally at some point when I was doing the SCIO work, I had found the genius. And for some reason, I didn't go with it. I thought it was simple and easy, but it just didn't happen. Went with the SCIO. And then years later, my daughter had an issue that I needed to get the SCIO because I needed to run somebody that she knew that wasn't healthy. And so I couldn't run her on the SCIO all the time. So I thought, oh, why don't I get a genius? And then I can do that on the side. So how I use the genius is I do it for some, you know, I can run animals on the genius.
Mhm.
I can run myself when I'm running other people on my SCIO. I can run and it will tell me things to look for in the SCIO. So it kind of, I don't want to call it a diagnostic, but it gives me direction.
Oh, I love that use case for it. No, it's a great use case. Sometimes we use it in reverse. There's another quantum biofeedback tool called an Oberon. And sometimes I'll run an Oberon session to see which body systems are most out of balance according to the Oberon. And then I'll really focus on them on the genius. And so you
Right.
use it almost like the reverse as a way to hone in on the body systems you need to work on the SCIO. I think they're all totally legitimate. I'm just glad we're availing ourselves to this like 21st century, you know, where we should be, the technology that we all need.
Oh, absolutely. And they go hand in hand. I mean, I like to travel with
Yes,
it. The graphics are beautiful. It's easy to maneuver with. The SCIO is a little more complicated. I mean, I got to pack it up. It's a whole different thing.
exactly.
Genius throw in my purse. I take it kind of wherever I go, to the gym. If I see somebody that I know, or I can throw
That's
something on.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's so awesome. Do you notice any crossover? Have you ever run a genius and a SCIO at the same time and notice some interlocking or related information?
definitely, definitely. That it does have an account. Like I feel like they're accountable to each other.
That's really
They
cool.
match up. So I know they're both working simultaneously, hand in hand.
Ryan Williams, who developed the Genius, who was a long time SCIO practitioner, and then he was a life practitioner. His whole adult life, he worked with these sort of, pioneering quantum biofeedback technologies. And he took the best of that information and distilled it down into a mobile application. And so it's no surprise that because they're all such great algorithms that they sort of correlate and match each other. They sort of show the truth of what is happening and echo it in each other.
They do. And I referred a few of my clients to the Genius just because it's easier, it's simpler. It's, that they've, wanted it for home use or do, maybe have a little bit of business with it.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah, they love it and enjoy it, and they've been very successful.
So are there any other tools that your go-to tools, or these are truly like, this is all I need?
This is all I need. And I
love it.
I keep tweaking down more and more to less supplements. Less is more.
Less is more.
Less is more. Support.
And it feels like you're moving more into the energy, because supplements, I've taken supplements and herbs and I have found them to be helpful. But if you think about it, you're looking for a frequency change in yourself as a result of taking supplements. Who's to say that you couldn't cut out the middleman and go right to the frequency adjustment itself?
Exactly. That's what you're looking for, but it's not always a good match either. A lot of people will call me and say, should I take this and that? And I'll test it and it will be like, your body doesn't even like this.
Yeah.
Or it's too much, or you have too much of that. Like now you're throwing it out of balance. Now we're looking for balance. It's always about the balance.
That's
and
great.
You're out of balance. So a lot of people throw themselves out of balance just by overdoing it or thinking, I looked this up on the internet and this looks like it does everything. Well, if you look up everything, everything does everything.
But also it's not specifically indicated for them. That's why I think quantum biofeedback is so important, is that it finds the individual, what the individual needs at this moment.
Exactly. In this time-space reality right now.
Exactly. And, in Bob Marshall from Premier Research Labs, which is a supplement company, he really used to say, you have to test people. The kidney point is first, because so many supplements could overload the kidney and the kidneys are not well enough to take on the medicine.
Exactly. And filter that out of the body. And then get it back up. And then people don't understand why they're sick or they're so toxic. And it's like, you're creating it. And it's not even by the bad food. It's by the supplementing. You don't need to supplement as long when your body's healthy and working in harmony.
It's so true. As a naturopathic doctor, we were just taught so many supplements. And by the time I graduated, I just had, cupboards full of supplements. And interesting, over the years, as I've taught and trained in biofeedback, I don't even use my wholesale accounts or anything. I hardly use any supplements anymore because it's so much all about the energy. And it's not that a few distinct ones, elegant ones could help, but not this massive only using supplementation.
Exactly. And I think that's what we've moved into as a society. Like everyone, it's the new latest thing that does, 20 million things. It's like, just let your body, it makes everything. Just, maybe a little vitamin C, but, eat some good fruit or, eat something that has the C in it. And I'm not against it. I'm getting myself off of it. Like my theory has been changing.
You mentioned that the sort of the Jerry Tennant quote, but it's so true that we're electrical before we're chemical. And I remember hearing that for the first time as a naturopath. And I was like, oh, whoa, because we're trying to create all these biochemical changes through our supplementation. And isn't it interesting to use the electrical and the frequency first, because that could make the most profound change.
Right, exactly. And, think when you exercise or ride a bike, what are you doing? You're emitting energy. You're losing some, but you're also building some.
Very interesting. That's a great thing to think about.
We're self-sustaining. The body knows what to do. If you did nothing, it knows what to do. We just interfere.
Well, related to exercise, what are your other great lifestyle recommendations? What do you recommend that people do in addition to biofeedback?
I would say one big thing besides exercising, a little bit, I wouldn't say over exercise. I think, a light exercise a couple times a week. I don't overdo it. Don't stress the body because you'll just stress the body even more. I would say really a practice of good, positive thinking.
Well, that's great.
You
That is
know, really the thoughts, think positive thoughts, think, you know, start working on yourself, start evolving yourself, start changing the tapes in your head.
that's a class that we're actually working on right now. And I thought, wouldn't that be interesting if instead of going to the doctor and them giving you medicine, they gave you all these affirmations and way for you to just change your thoughts. And this is your prescription, is go think about things differently.
Right. And, you know, even in my practice, it's like, this is the internal work. This is taking the insides and turning them outside, and stop living outside inside. Stop living in the outside world and trying to put yourself in it. Bring the outside world in, fix the internals, and your external will change. And just that shift right there, it's like, that's where it starts. Stop living outside yourself. Start living inside yourself.
That's a big change for like a Western American sort of culture, because we live so much in the outside experience. So it's a big change for people.
Right. Be happy because you're happy. Don't be happy because you did all these things and then you're not happy because you don't have them anymore. Be the change you want to see in the world. You know, be the joy. Don't look for joy. You are joy. Don't look for love. You are love. Connect and ground in yourself and get to know who you are.
That's beautiful. If everybody took that into their being, nobody would be sick.
That's right. That's right. We'd all be connected beings that are loving and joyful and happy for no reason.
We had a question here. It says, from Karen McDonald. She says, what do you use as a remedy plate, or do you use any imprinter from your SCIO? She's asking. I'm not sure.
On the top of the SCIO is a remedy plate.
And do you make water remedies or anything like that, or imprint anything for people?
I don't at this point. I haven't had a chance to really dive into that.
Sure.
So at this point, I don't.
No worries.
I do carry a line from Dr. Nelson that are homeopathic. So I don't get into that.
I totally understand. Now, you said you were reviewing the podcast. Did you see the episode that I did with Karen Reifinger where she talked about the energy enhancement system? If you didn't, that's okay.
I didn't listen to the whole thing.
It's okay. It's a scalar broadcast system. And I just wanted to compare and contrast. Like the energy enhancement system, she sits in, it's a scalar broadcaster. Which do you energetically feel drawn to? Like just like sort of this generic scalar broadcaster versus the SCIO? Compare and contrast in your just sort of intuitive sense.
I think they're both powerful. I mean, I don't know because I haven't seen one, just the scalar. Now I have the scalars on my device, specifically the scalars that I run actually in my.
So the SCIO itself can generate a scalar broadcast.
Correct. So in my detox, the first session is working on all the scalars,
Okay.
In that lower, middle, upper chakra until it comes to correction. Then I go through each individual one until they correct. And then I do.
You have a lot of that actually available to you. The reason I was asking is because, it's so compelling, but that energy enhancement system is $28,000. Now that is sort of similar with the Indigo or the SCIO comes in a little bit lower price point, right? Not that much, but somewhere around that.
25, yeah.
Yeah, 25. The reason is because just me, of course, I'm prejudiced because I've been training people on the genius for 10 years. I think about it. It seems like it's so much more valuable to be assessing the specific energy of that person versus just a generic energy. If you were sort of one had to be ranked above the other one.
Right. Like what I like about it on the SCIO is because after there's a spiritual component on there for some spiritual healing. So I always run that at the end. So I don't know if that scalar generator has that on top of it. But
that I'm not sure, but I know it's not a testing. It's just, going to generate that. And I'm sure that it is amazing technology. It's just that my preference, I'm always just wanting to, I love doing a genius session where we can sort of sink in. It's like, oh my gosh, this thing is out of balance and this thing is connected to this thing. It seems like that learning that knowledge is an integral part and important in the healing process.
Definitely, definitely. And sometimes vice versa. I can run somebody on the SCIO and then I run them on the Genius and I see huge improvement. Then I can run them on the Genius and run them on the SCIO and see big improvement. It's like, I think they're all good.
They're all good.
But I think with the SCIO, like it will tell me specifically too, if I just do a normal session, it will tell me, do I need to do the meridians today, or do I need to do the scalars, or do I need to do color therapy?
Right.
It will give me, specifically what they're asking for. What do they need today? But I think the scalars are always good to clean. I mean, daily.
That's wonderful. When you work with the therapist, is that something that's covered by insurance, or do they pay cash out of pocket? I think a lot of our practitioners will just be interested because maybe they could also be working with a psychotherapist or mental health worker or something like that.
Yes. So basically, it is covered under insurance through her practice. I know there's one license. She has 7 of them. I don't know which one it covers under, but all my clients through her, I do bill through insurance.
That is amazing. That's something we certainly want to learn more about with our quantum biofeedback practitioners and find out about that. That's wonderful. What a great relationship. That seems like that person must have been very open. Was it a client of yours, or how did you guys come together?
Actually, when I used to go and have the SCIO done, we used to go to her office. The SCIO practitioner rented space in her office. And at the same time, she bought a SCIO when I did. And she had asked me, do you want to work for me? And I said, well, no, I just wanted to do this for myself and maybe have a business. So I had turned it down. So we've been friends. So we did a lot of training together. And, just this year at the beginning of the year, I was kind of putting it out into the universe, like, what am I going to do next? And where am I going to take my business? And, I've been doing this for 5 years. And how do I get it? Like, what direction am I really going to go in?
Right.
In March, she called me and she said, I have so many people that need work that are on waiting lists that I can't get through. And she has another girl. She said, do you want to work for me? And I was like, well, let's sit down and talk. Let me see. My load always slows down a little bit in the spring, but I ramp back up towards the end of the summer. So I was like, what? Let me give it a shot. And I work about 20 of her clients, 20 to 25 a week.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a big client load. That's amazing. So
exactly.
Do you still take clients in your own practice, or is that the majority? Okay, you do.
Nope. I still have my regular clients and I'm always getting new people. And, I kind of leave Thursday and Friday open for my people. So my clients.
That's great.
Yeah. And I don't have to take a nap anymore. I mean, I have more energy than I know what to do with. I do work 7 days.
That's amazing. And so you do a session on yourself a week or a day, once a week.
Yep. I've committed to doing at least one session on myself every week. I have to.
Yes, that's important because you're there to help other people.
Exactly.
There was a question. I'm not sure it would be anything other than running the SCIO, but Adina says, I've been having problems with my vision, blurred vision, dryness, and sometimes pain. What do you recommend for me? By the way, I love your story.
Oh, thank you. Liver, I'd go to the liver.
Liver, that's a good one.
I'd go right to the liver.
Great recommendation.
Liver, eyes.
That's an excellent recommendation. So Adina, go ahead and work on liver, maybe castor oil pack or some juices, things like that.
I think maybe milk thistle.
Milk thistle is a great recommendation. Very, very easy to do. Go right ahead.
Just keep the liver moving. If you have the Genius, do the Genius. If you need any help from me, give me a call.
And very good segue then. How do people get in touch with you?
I can give my number out.
Okay. Do you want to just put it in the chat for everyone about how to,
sure.
That way we won't say I don't want to say your number on YouTube necessarily.
Yes.
You can give it out in the, if you want to put an email address, we could put that in the description where we'll just put @ instead of the little ampersand thing.
Yep. Perfect.
Yeah. But if you want to add it to the chat while we're talking here and sort of winding everything up. So what are your goals moving forward? Or I guess the question would really be, what would you like to see for the world in an attempt for people to have better health and to heal themselves?
It goes back to my purpose and my passion. My passion is the biofeedback and my purpose is to help raise the consciousness and bring awareness to people.
So maybe we need to get quantum biofeedback into everybody's hands to use
Exactly.
on a more mass basis.
Yep,
I'm
exactly.
all for that.
Exactly. I can see in 20 years, everybody owning some sort of device and being their own healer.
That makes sense to me. It makes so much sense because it just works.
Yeah.
And you don't have to attend 16 years of medical college or whatever in order to do that. Everybody can, like you say, everybody can learn it if they earnestly want to learn it.
Exactly. Exactly.
I love it. I think you're right, though. I think this is going to become more and more what people are seeking. And how would you compare quantum biofeedback, which is available now to people, versus a lot of people in our tribe ask us, when are the med beds coming? When are they going to be available? What do you say in response to that?
I mean, I would say keep doing the energy work, whatever that is. The med beds, I mean, they're outrageous, but I think they'll be helpful. But I keep still doing biofeedback, still do the genius, do any modality that has to do with frequency.
Do what's available. I always say, like, do what's available now. We never know when the med beds will be here, if there'll be millions of dollars. And I think of quantum biofeedback as being the med beds. It's going to address the places you need to regenerate. It can work, essentially on anything. It can work on the telomeres. It can work on the stem cells. You find that with the SCIO as well, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah. And also you don't have to lay there either.
You can actually be up and around and moving.
Exactly. It's like just work on your field. The body will, we can transform ourselves. We just don't believe it always. And I just know for myself, I have transformed myself.
That's what's so important and so profound. And I know you work with everybody remotely. Do you work with people in your local area?
I do. My main, when I first started, I was pretty much 100% remote. Mm-hmm. And I would say in the last 2 years, I've had more people from Minnesota, more in-house. But still, I still have a lot of people here in Minnesota that I do run remote. But I would say it went from, 90% to, 10% in person to, I'd probably say 70-30 now. And I work out of my home.
I love it. Do you also put part of it in, you spend part of your time in Florida as well, or no, just in Minnesota?
At heart, I love to travel. So that was another reason why I picked this. It's either going back into banking or, I can travel, I can work from home, and I can be anywhere in the world and work on anybody. No, I have family down in Florida. I do go down to Florida. My kids are out in Boston, out east. I have a son here in Minnesota. So
you can go anywhere and you can bring your SCIO or your genius or whatever it is, and you can work from wherever those places are.
Yep. I'm from Michigan originally. So I've got a clientele in Michigan, and I've got a clientele in Florida and a clientele on the East Coast. I've got somebody in Mexico. I've got somebody in Malaysia. So kind of all over the place.
That's wonderful. No, that's the amazing thing about quantum biofeedback. I always say that we work with and we're attracted to people vibrationally more than we are locationally. And so you're able to reach out and who is, connected to your vibration and wants to work with you. One question before we wrap things up that we get asked over and over again in the genius world is, what do you say to skeptics who wonder how this can all work?
Some people just aren't ready for this work.
That's so true.
And so either they start to, when I bring it up or we start talking, either they get it and they want more, or they're just not ready. And I have to respect the fact that consciously they're just not ready to do the shift.
Do you explain, do you have like sort of an elevator speech that you give to people about quantum biofeedback or energy or how it works?
People will say to me, well, what do you do? Well, I help people transform their lives and, live the life that they want to live, because a lot of people aren't living the lives that they want to live. They're living a life they don't even like living.
That's
and
so true.
People don't even know they don't like living it. And then they start doing the work and things start to change. Or a lot of it too, this is huge. I'll start, we'll work and, we'll do the detox and put a program together, see what's going on. People are, going to notice, they're going to say, people are going to come up to you and say, what did you do? Did you lose weight? Or like, did you do your hair? Or did you do something different? Like you look different, like you're glowing. like you're glowing, and they'll say, and I've told many clients, just wait, as you transform and as your light gets brighter, people are going to be attracted to you. You're going to attract the life you want to live. The thoughts, ideas, the downloads are going to start coming to you. You're going to get clearer and cleaner. Your field's getting cleaner. And I've had people call me back and say, I was at a concert and somebody came up to me and said, I don't know what it is about you, but I think you're so beautiful. And she goes, oh my God, I looked at my partner and I said, Missy told me that was going to happen. I know I told you. So it's like the attraction, as I feel like as you get cleaner, lighter, brighter, you can attract anything. And
so the right people come to you who are supposed to be, you don't even, at this point, you really don't deal with a lot of skeptics. It sounds like people come to you word of mouth and know that they're going to get results because of their friends.
Exactly. And if I know they're not into it and they're just not, it's, I've had to tell a couple of people, we're just not a good match for each other. Like if you don't really believe in this, I don't really want to, we're not good partners.
Absolutely wonderful.
Missy,
it's been so wonderful to get to have this exchange and talk with you. What a pleasure.
Thank you so much. This was wonderful. I hope that was helpful for everybody. Thank you.
It was so helpful. We love, especially with frequency of 528, we want to talk to everyone in the frequency world, not just talk within our own community. And this allows us to stretch out and talk about technologies, about the SCIO and how significant they are and how you're utilizing them and what a difference it's making for you and your clients. So, and also hearing your personal philosophy, it's very, very exciting. And it was just absolutely a delight to talk with you.
Thank you so much. This was great. I'm also going to put another email. I don't think I put my email in there, but
yes, go ahead. Yes, sure.
It's Missy Iten. It's MissyIten.quantumleap@gmail.com.
Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead and put that in. We'll just sort of talk a little bit before we wind everything down. A lot of people in the chat wanted to know how to get in touch with you. So I think they'll be reaching out to you and they're very inspired by what you say and how you've been working with people. So I think it's been an awesome discussion. And it's really just fun to find the common ground in the quantum biofeedback technologies. And I love that you're using both the Genius and the SCIO. It's nice to have you as part of our Genius community. So I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Ariel. This was wonderful.
Your daughter was on the chat as well. Is she using the Genius now as well?
Yes, she does use it. And the other one, I think that's on, I work on her a lot. So actually there was a time I had her on the Genius. I was traveling and I had left it at home and my son was here. And so he came over on his lunch break and he walked him through how to run her because she had some food poisoning or something. So I was like, thank God I left it at home. So it was great.
That's fantastic. Great to have kids that can help you with that. And wonderful to know that they believe in it and have an interest in it.
Yes. I mean, their lives have all changed
as a result of it.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
The family that harmonizes frequencies together stays together. So that's really nice.
Exactly.
Okay, Missy, so much love and big, big hugs. And thank you again for being part of the Frequency of 528 podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
And thank you, everyone who's been listening. We'll be back next week, and I hope to see you again soon.